What are the primary steps involved in conducting a risk assessment for animal control operations, and why is each step important in ensuring officer safety? Answer: risk assessment is critical in animal control to identify potential hazards and take proactive steps to mitigate them. The primary steps involved are hazard identification. This involves identifying potential risks such as aggressive animals, dangerous environments, or faulty equipment. It's crucial because recognizing risks early helps prevent accidents. For example, venomous snakes or large mammals can pose threats to officers in certain environments. Risk evaluation. After identifying the hazards, evaluating their likelihood and potential severity is essential. This helps prioritize which risks need immediate attention. For example, if an animal is highly dangerous, such as a large carnivore, the risk is high and measures must be taken accordingly. Control measures. This involves implementing safety protocols, such as the use of personal protective equipment, PPE, or securing proper containment. It's crucial to ensure all officers have the necessary training and tools to safely approach an animal. Monitoring and review. Once control measures are in place, it's necessary to monitor their effectiveness and review any changes in the operational environment that may introduce new risks. Mr. Smith is an animal control officer who is called to a property to handle a wild boar that has been causing damage to crops. The boar is acting aggressively, and there are reports that it has been charging at vehicles. Mr. Smith is equipped with a tranquilizer dart, protective gloves, and a vehicle. What should Mr. Smith do first, and what additional safety protocols should he follow to minimize risk? Answer: in this scenario, the first action Mr. Smith should take is assessing the environment and ensuring a safe perimeter around the wild boar. He should avoid approaching the animal directly, especially considering the reports of aggressive behavior. The additional safety protocols Mr. Smith should follow include: maintain a safe distance. The vehicle should be used to keep distance from the boar. Wild boars are strong and unpredictable, and even if tranquilizers are available, the risk of injury is still high. Utilize tranquilizers from a safe distance. Tranquilizer darts should only be used when the officer is a safe distance away from the animal and when there's a clear, unobstructed path for the shot. Ensure backup is available. Given the animal's aggression, Mr. Smith should have backup from other animal control officers or law enforcement to assist in controlling the situation. Prepare for emergency response. Mr. Smith should be trained in first aid and have emergency response protocols in place in case of injury. What is the importance of conducting a post-operation debrief in animal control, and how can this contribute to improving safety protocols? Answer: a post-operation debrief is essential to review and reflect on the operations to identify areas for improvement. It serves several purposes: identifying hazards encountered. By discussing what hazards occurred, teams can assess what went wrong and how future operations can be safer. Improving procedures. Reviewing the effectiveness of safety measures such as PPE, usage, equipment functionality, and communication protocols helps to refine safety protocols for future incidents. Psychological well-being of officers. Animal control can be a high-stress profession. A debrief helps identify emotional or psychological impacts on the officers, ensuring they receive necessary support. Training and updates. Debriefs can highlight gaps in training or equipment needs. For example, if officers encountered an unfamiliar animal species, additional training or tools might be required. What steps should be taken if an officer encounters a venomous snake while performing an animal control task? Answer: when encountering a venomous snake, officers should take the following steps. Maintain distance. The officer should remain calm and keep a safe distance from the snake. Venomous snakes can strike quickly and unexpectedly. Alert other officers. If working as part of a team, the officer should inform others immediately so that everyone is aware of the hazard. Assess the situation. If the snake is in a public area, authorities may need to cordon off the space to prevent people from coming near. If it's safe to do so, a trained officer or professional should be contacted to handle the snake. Prepare equipment. If capturing the snake is necessary, use appropriate tools such as snake tongs or specialized enclosures to safely transport the animal without getting close to it. Legal considerations. Under the Conservation and Land Management Act, the use of safe practices when handling venomous animals is mandatory, and in some jurisdictions, specific permits are required for removing dangerous wildlife. Why is it important for animal control officers to receive mental health support, and what could be the consequences of not addressing this aspect? Answer: animal control officers often deal with traumatic and emotionally taxing situations, such as euthanizing animals or dealing with aggressive animals. Providing mental health support is important for several reasons. Emotional well-being. Continuous exposure to distressing situations can lead to burnout, PTSD, or depression. Support services such as counseling or peer support groups are vital for maintaining emotional health. Job performance. Mental stress can impair decision-making, reduce the officer's effectiveness, and increase the likelihood of mistakes during high-risk operations. Consequences of not addressing mental health. Failure to address mental health can lead to long-term psychological damage, increased absenteeism, and even higher turnover rates among animal control officers. How can animal control teams ensure safe and effective use of equipment like traps and vehicles in their operations? Answer: to ensure the safe and effective use of equipment, the following steps should be taken. Regular maintenance. Equipment like traps and vehicles should undergo routine checks and maintenance to ensure they are in good working condition and will function properly in high-stress situations. Training. Officers should receive specialized training in the use of all equipment, including how to operate traps safely and effectively. Risk analysis. Before each operation, the potential risks associated with the use of equipment should be assessed, such as whether a particular trap could injure an animal or cause harm to the officer. By combining these practices, animal control teams can minimize the risks involved in handling and using equipment. What is the significance of personal protective equipment, PPE, in animal control, and which types of PPE are most critical when handling dangerous wildlife? Answer: personal protective equipment (PPE) is crucial for minimizing physical risk to animal control officers. PPE serves as the first line of defense against injury, bites, scratches, and exposure to hazardous materials such as venom or zoonotic diseases. The most critical types of PPE when handling dangerous wildlife include gloves. Heavy-duty gloves protect against bites, scratches, and potential exposure to diseases such as rabies that might be transmitted through animal saliva or skin. Leather or Kevlar gloves are commonly used for larger animals. Protective clothing. Full-body protective suits, including reinforced clothing, can help protect against bites, scratches, and the risk of injuries from sharp animal claws or teeth. Face shields and goggles. These are important for preventing injury from flying debris or fluids, especially when working with animals that might struggle or exhibit aggressive behavior. Foot protection. Steel-toed boots are essential when handling large mammals or working in hazardous environments where the risk of heavy object falls or animal kicks exists. Respirators. In certain situations, e.g. when working with animals that may have a risk of transmitting airborne diseases, respirators help protect against inhaling pathogens. MS Thompson is an animal control officer responding to a call about a large bird of prey that has been trapped in a fence. The bird is injured and agitated, and there is a risk it might lash out. MS Thompson is trained in handling birds, but this is her first encounter with a bird of this size. What steps should MS Thompson take to ensure her safety and the bird's well-being? Answer: MS Thompson should take the following steps to ensure safety. Assess the situation. The first priority is to assess the bird's condition from a safe distance. Since the bird is agitated and injured, it may behave unpredictably. MS Thompson should evaluate the risk of injury to herself and ensure that bystanders are kept at a safe distance. Call for backup. If she feels unprepared or if the situation seems risky, she should immediately call for backup from another officer with more experience or from wildlife rescue professionals who specialize in birds of prey. Approach carefully. MS Thompson should approach the bird slowly and calmly, using a blanket or towel to cover its head to reduce stress. Covering the bird's head can help calm it down and prevent it from lashing out. Secure the bird. She should use protective gloves and a rescue net or other appropriate containment tools to safely remove the bird from the fence. The bird should be placed in a secure carrier for transport to a veterinary facility. Ensure emergency care. If the bird is seriously injured, she should transport it to a wildlife rehabilitation center or a vet that specializes in birds of prey as soon as possible. What role does environmental risk play in animal control, and what are the best practices for mitigating these risks during an operation? Answer: environmental risks can significantly impact the safety and effectiveness of animal control operations. These risks include dangerous weather conditions, hazardous terrain, and unpredictable wildlife behavior in specific environments. Best practices for mitigating environmental risks include pre-operation risk assessment. Before starting any operation, the environmental conditions should be assessed. For example, if working in flood-prone areas, officers must be aware of water levels and ensure that the area is safe to navigate. Weather considerations. Officers should monitor weather forecasts and avoid operations in extreme weather such as thunderstorms, heavy winds, or snowstorms, which could complicate animal capture and increase the risk of accidents. Proper equipment. Environmental hazards such as rough terrain, slippery surfaces, or dense vegetation require the appropriate footwear, ropes, and equipment. Officers should wear sturdy, slip-resistant boots and carry tools that will help them navigate difficult environments. Team coordination. Animal control operations in hazardous environments require good teamwork. What steps should an animal control officer take when dealing with a stray dog that is believed to have bitten a person? Answer: when dealing with a stray dog that has bitten a person, the animal control officer must follow the following steps. Ensure immediate medical attention. The person who has been bitten should receive immediate medical care. This includes cleaning the wound and receiving any necessary vaccinations, e.g., tetanus, rabies. Secure the dog. The officer must ensure the dog is safely contained. This may involve using a vehicle or trap to contain the dog without direct contact. Given that the dog may be scared or aggressive, it is important to use proper restraint techniques. Check for rabies. If the dog is suspected of having rabies, it must be quarantined and observed. If it cannot be found or is not available for quarantine, authorities may need to consider post-exposure prophylaxis for the bite victim. Report to authorities. The officer should report the incident to local health or animal control authorities, as certain legal protocols must be followed when an animal has bitten someone. Mr. Thompson is the animal control officer in a suburban community where recent reports of aggressive dogs have raised concerns among the residents. He receives a complaint about a neighbor's dog that has allegedly attacked several other pets in the area. After investigating, Mr. Thompson finds that the dog is often left unsupervised in the yard and has a history of aggression, but no formal complaints have been lodged. What should Mr. Thompson do in this situation, considering both legal and ethical responsibilities? Answer: in this case, Mr. Thompson must take several steps. First, he should ensure the safety of the community by addressing the immediate threat posed by the dog. This may involve issuing a temporary confinement order or seizing the dog if it poses an imminent risk to public safety. Legally, Mr. Thompson must comply with local animal control ordinances, which may include reporting the situation to the relevant animal control board for further investigation and possible sanctions against the owner. Under the Animal Welfare Act and local animal control laws, Mr. Thompson has a duty to enforce the proper management of potentially dangerous animals. He should consider factors such as the dog's history of aggression, the owner's responsibility, and the need for community safety. Additionally, Mr. Thompson should facilitate public education initiatives about responsible pet ownership and how to handle aggressive animals, promoting community engagement to prevent future incidents. Relevant law guidelines. Animal Welfare Act protects animals from harm and regulates dangerous animals. Local animal control ordinances defines the duties and authority of animal control officers, including the procedures for addressing dangerous dogs. You are tasked with launching a public education campaign to promote responsible pet ownership. What are the key principles you should consider in creating this campaign to ensure it effectively engages the community and addresses common misconceptions? Provide specific strategies for outreach. Answer: when launching a public education campaign on responsible pet ownership, it is crucial to focus on the following principles. Clear messaging. Ensure that the message is simple, clear, and addresses key issues such as pet health, safety, and the legal responsibilities of pet owners. Target audience identification. Tailor messages to different demographic groups, e.g., first-time pet owners, families, and elderly individuals, and address their unique concerns or challenges. Community-centric approach. Use local community centers, schools, and animal welfare organizations as platforms to engage the public. Use of visual media. Incorporating visuals like posters, infographics, and videos can help convey messages in an engaging way. Collaboration with local authorities. Work closely with animal shelters, veterinarians, and local law enforcement to provide a united front on the message. Feedback and evaluation. After the campaign, evaluate its success through surveys or feedback from the community, which can help refine future educational efforts. What steps should be taken to resolve a complaint about a neighbor's pet being allowed to roam freely and cause damage to property? Describe how you would handle the situation considering both legal and ethical standards. Answer: when handling a complaint about a roaming pet, you must follow these steps. Initial investigation. Acknowledge the complaint promptly and conduct a thorough investigation. Speak with the complainant to gather details about the frequency of the incidents and any evidence, e.g., photos of property damage, witness statements. Contact the pet owner. Reach out to the pet owner to discuss the complaint. Be respectful and professional in your approach, explaining the situation and highlighting relevant animal control regulations such as leash laws or pet containment requirements. Assess the situation, inspect the property, and confirm if the pet is indeed roaming unsupervised. Offer solutions. If the pet owner is found in violation of regulations, suggest solutions such as repairing fencing, installing pet containment systems, or attending obedience training for the pet. If the issue persists, a formal warning or citation may be issued. Mediation. If necessary, mediate between the complainant and the pet owner to reach a fair resolution. Focus on resolving the issue amicably without escalating tensions. Legal enforcement. If the situation does not improve, involve legal enforcement, which could include fines or even impounding the pet depending on the severity of the issue. Mr. Thompson is an animal control officer in a city where there has been a growing number of complaints about dogs causing nuisance by barking excessively at night. Mr. Thompson receives a complaint from a resident, Ms. Collins, about her neighbor's dog that barks constantly at night, disturbing her sleep. How should Mr. Thompson proceed to resolve this issue, considering both legal and community engagement aspects? Answer: Mr. Thompson should follow these steps. Document the complaint. Begin by recording Ms. Collins' complaint, including the times the barking occurs, how long it lasts, and its impact on her quality of life. Obtain any additional evidence, such as recordings of the barking. Investigate the situation. Visit the neighbor's property and assess whether the barking is occurring as described. Engage with the neighbor, dog owner in a professional and non-confrontational manner to discuss the complaint. It's important to remember that the dog may be acting out due to environmental factors, e.g., loneliness, lack of exercise. Check local regulations. Review the local ordinances regarding noise disturbances and pet behavior. Many cities have noise ordinances that address excessive pet noise, and there may be specific guidelines about acceptable levels of noise, particularly during nighttime hours. Mediation and education. Offer mediation services, such as suggesting the neighbor enroll the dog in obedience training or explore behavior modification techniques. Additionally, educate both parties on the importance of responsible pet ownership, such as ensuring pets are not left outside alone at night. Provide legal solutions. If informal solutions fail, explain the legal ramifications, such as fines for disturbing the peace or the possibility of a citation under local nuisance laws. Follow up to ensure that the situation is resolved within a reasonable time frame. Follow-up and community engagement. After resolution, continue monitoring the situation and be available for any further concerns. Engage the community through education campaigns on responsible pet ownership to reduce future complaints. Relevant laws, noise ordinances, nuisance laws, and animal behavior regulations should be consulted when addressing barking complaints. Animal control officers must balance the enforcement of these laws with community engagement and education. When designing a public seminar to educate pet owners about the importance of pet vaccination, what are the key elements you would include to ensure the seminar is both informative and engaging? How would you handle potential misconceptions about vaccinations during the session? Answer: key elements of a successful seminar on pet vaccination include educational content. Explain the scientific basis of vaccinations, including the diseases pets are at risk of, e.g., rabies, distemper, parvovirus, and the role of vaccinations in preventing these diseases. Interactive elements. Use visuals, infographics, videos to explain how vaccines work in the body and the potential consequences of not vaccinating pets. Provide real-world examples of outbreaks in areas with low vaccination rates. Addressing misconceptions. During the seminar, address common misconceptions such as the belief that vaccinations cause autism in pets or that vaccines are unnecessary for indoor pets. Use evidence-based information to correct these misconceptions and engage with participants by answering questions openly and respectfully. Legal and ethical obligations. Educate attendees on any local vaccination laws, such as requirements for rabies vaccination. Explain the legal and health risks involved in not vaccinating pets. Encouragement of responsible ownership. Emphasize the broader responsibilities of pet owners, such as regular veterinary visits, proper nutrition, and safe pet practices. What are the ethical considerations and challenges that animal control officers face when enforcing laws related to animal cruelty? How should these officers balance the need for enforcement with the principles of compassion and animal welfare? Answer: ethical considerations in animal cruelty enforcement include animal welfare. Animal control officers must ensure that animals' basic needs, food, water, shelter, medical care, are met. They should be compassionate in assessing the conditions of animals, providing intervention when necessary, and ensuring that animals are not subjected to further harm. Fairness in enforcement. Officers should approach each situation with an understanding of the individual circumstances, e.g., a pet owner may be financially unable to care for an animal but still wants to do right by it. Legal frameworks. Officers must understand and adhere to animal cruelty laws, ensuring that their actions align with legal requirements while avoiding unnecessary harm to the animal or the owner. In cases of extreme cruelty, however, enforcement of the law may be necessary. Balancing compassion with authority. While officers must enforce the law, they must also approach each case with empathy, aiming to educate pet owners about their responsibilities and provide assistance, e.g., contacting animal shelters, veterinary care, or local social services. How would you design an animal control program focused on preventing animal attacks in the community? What preventive measures should be implemented, and how can community members be engaged in promoting safety? Answer: to design a successful program to prevent animal attacks. Risk assessment. Conduct a risk assessment to identify the types of animals and environments associated with attacks, e.g., untrained or aggressive dogs. Community engagement. Develop educational programs to teach responsible pet ownership and the importance of training and socializing pets, particularly aggressive breeds. Engage with schools, neighborhood groups, and pet owners through seminars, flyers, and social media campaigns. Public awareness campaigns. Use visual media and real-life examples to educate the public about how to safely interact with unfamiliar animals, including how to avoid provoking pets and what to do if attacked. Prevention programs. Offer low-cost spay-neuter programs and dog training classes, as well as promote leash laws and proper containment of pets. Enforcement. Ensure that local laws on leash requirements, pet containment, and dangerous animals are enforced through consistent monitoring and action. Collaboration. Work with local veterinarians, animal trainers, and public health officials to enhance the reach of safety programs and ensure comprehensive solutions. How would you manage a situation where two neighbors are in conflict over a stray cat that frequently enters one neighbor's yard, causing damage to plants and leaving waste? What conflict resolution techniques would you apply to this situation? Answer: in managing this situation, the following steps should be taken. Assess the situation. Meet with both neighbors separately to understand each perspective. Determine the extent of the damage caused by the stray cat and gather any evidence, e.g., photos of the damage. Mediation. Encourage both parties to meet and discuss the issue. As a mediator, help them communicate effectively, focusing on finding a compromise. Suggest solutions such as installing barriers to keep the cat away or contacting local animal control to catch the stray cat. Legal options. If the cat's behavior is disruptive and persists, check local laws to determine whether there are any ordinances related to stray animals or nuisance pets that would allow you to take further action. Long-term solutions. Encourage both neighbors to work together to address the stray cat issue in the long term, such as participating in a local trap neuter return (TNR) program or contacting an animal shelter for help. Relevant rules. Local animal control ordinances on stray animals and nuisance laws will guide the resolution process. How should an animal control officer respond when they encounter a situation where they believe a pet is being neglected but the owner is unwilling to cooperate? What ethical considerations should guide their decision-making process? Answer: in this situation, the officer should document the evidence, thoroughly document the conditions of the pet and the home, including photographs, witness statements, and descriptions of the neglect, e.g., lack of food or medical care. Educate the owner. Try to engage the owner by explaining the legal and ethical responsibilities of pet ownership and offer resources to help them care for the pet, e.g., local veterinary clinics, pet food assistance programs. Enforce legal requirements. If the situation involves clear violations of animal welfare laws, the officer should issue citations or impound the animal if necessary, always following legal guidelines to ensure proper enforcement. Humane treatment. Throughout the process, the officer must ensure that the animal is treated humanely and provided with proper care if it needs to be removed from the owner's custody. Relevant laws, animal cruelty laws, and animal welfare regulations mandate the humane treatment of animals and provide the legal foundation for enforcement. What are the key components to developing a successful outreach program for promoting the importance of microchipping pets? How would you engage with the community to raise awareness about this program? Answer: a successful outreach program on microchipping should include informational materials. Create brochures and posters explaining the benefits of microchipping, including how it helps in returning lost pets to their owners and preventing pet theft. Community events. Organize free or low-cost microchipping clinics at community centers or animal shelters where people can have their pets microchipped while learning about the process and its benefits. Collaboration with local veterinarians. Partner with local veterinary clinics to offer microchipping services at discounted rates and to spread awareness. Social media campaigns. Utilize social media platforms to share success stories of lost pets being returned to owners because of microchips. Engage influencers or local pet owners to promote the campaign. Follow-up support. After the microchipping event, provide follow-up information on how to update microchip information and the importance of keeping records current. Relevant rules. Animal control laws may mandate microchipping in some jurisdictions, especially for certain types of pets or breeds. What are the key considerations for planning an emergency animal control operation during a natural disaster, and how do incident command systems play a role in this? Answer. In planning an emergency animal control operation during a natural disaster, the primary considerations include animal evacuation, sheltering, disease prevention, and interagency coordination. First, it is critical to establish clear protocols for the safe evacuation of animals from affected areas, especially if they are in high-risk zones like flood-prone regions or wildfire paths. Shelter planning must ensure that facilities are well equipped to handle an influx of displaced animals, considering factors like space, food, water, and medical care. Incident command systems play a central role in coordinating efforts. ICS is a standardized, flexible structure used during emergencies to ensure effective leadership, communication, and resource management. The system enables clear roles and responsibilities across various agencies and stakeholders, from local animal control officers to government agencies and GOs and veterinary teams. Additionally, animal disease management protocols should be in place to prevent the spread of zoonotic diseases. Post-crisis recovery efforts must include both animal welfare assessments and the restoration of animal control systems. In the context of managing animal control during a pandemic, what are the main challenges faced by animal control officers, and what strategies can be implemented to mitigate these challenges? Answer. During a pandemic, animal control officers face several key challenges. Resource allocation. A pandemic often overwhelms available resources, as human resources may be strained, and supplies like food, veterinary care, and shelter spaces are limited. Animal control officers must prioritize actions and optimize resources to manage animal populations effectively. Disease transmission. In situations like zoonotic diseases, controlling the transmission between animals and humans becomes a priority. Animal control officers need to implement protocols to minimize the risk of exposure, such as using protective gear, practicing proper hygiene, and controlling the movement of animals. Public health concerns. Animal control operations must balance animal welfare with public health considerations. Officers may need to work in collaboration with health authorities to ensure that animal control measures do not exacerbate public health risks. Communication and public relations. Maintaining clear communication with the public is vital to mitigate panic, especially when animal shelters are full or animals are being euthanized due to resource constraints. To mitigate these challenges, strategies include cross-agency coordination, collaborating with public health, veterinary, and local government agencies to share resources and information. Emergency preparedness plans. Developing specific guidelines for handling animals during pandemics, including protocols for quarantine, vaccination, and temporary housing. Public education. Educating the public on responsible pet ownership and reporting mechanisms to avoid overwhelming the system. Laws such as the Public Health Act and the Animal Welfare Act guide these operations, ensuring humane treatment and adequate resource allocation during pandemics. Mr. Thompson, an animal control officer, has received a report of several animals in a flooded area that are in immediate danger. The weather forecast predicts continuous rain for the next 48 hours, increasing the risk of further flooding. Mr. Thompson has limited resources and staff, and the local animal shelter is already at capacity. What immediate actions should Mr. Thompson take to ensure the safety of the animals while coordinating with other agencies? Answer. In this scenario, Mr. Thompson needs to prioritize immediate animal welfare while managing limited resources and collaborating with other agencies. The following steps are recommended. Assess the immediate danger. Mr. Thompson should evaluate the severity of the flooding and the risk to animals in the area. Animals in the most imminent danger, e.g., trapped in flood zones or exposed to hazardous conditions, should be prioritized for rescue. Coordinate with emergency services. Mr. Thompson should immediately notify local authorities and other emergency responders, such as fire and rescue services, to assist with the evacuation of animals. Collaboration with agencies like the Red Cross or local veterinary organizations will help mobilize additional resources. Evacuation plan. If possible, he should create an evacuation route ensuring the safety of both animals and personnel. Temporary shelters must be identified or created quickly, and if the local shelter is full, coordination with nearby regions or temporary facilities, such as schools or community centers, may be necessary. Resource allocation. Given limited resources, Mr. Thompson must focus on the most critical needs, e.g., food, water, medical attention for animals that have been rescued. Prioritizing shelter space for injured or vulnerable animals is essential. Prepare for long-term care. Due to the forecast of continuous rain, evacuation and sheltering plans should account for long-term needs, such as veterinary care, food, and proper sanitation in shelters. The Animal Welfare Act outlines the need for humane treatment during such operations, ensuring animals are not left in distress. Interagency coordination is also emphasized under the National Response Framework, ensuring efficient use of available resources and maintaining public safety. How does the concept of crisis leadership apply to animal control during emergencies, and what leadership styles are most effective in managing disaster response? Answer: crisis leadership in animal control during emergencies requires the ability to make quick, informed decisions under pressure, ensuring the safety of both animals and human personnel. Effective crisis leadership involves several key characteristics. Decision-making under uncertainty. Leaders must make decisions with incomplete information, such as determining which animals to prioritize for rescue when resources are limited. Adaptability. During crises like natural disasters, conditions may change rapidly. Leaders must be flexible, adjusting plans as needed to respond to evolving situations. Clear communication. Effective communication is critical in coordinating rescue operations, providing updates to the public, and ensuring that all team members understand their roles and responsibilities. Empathy and support. Given the emotional strain on teams during such high-pressure events, strong leadership includes offering support to staff members and volunteers, helping maintain morale during long hours. The most effective leadership styles in these situations are often transformational leadership, which inspires and motivates teams, and servant leadership, which emphasizes the well-being of others and focuses on serving the needs of both the animals and the team. What are the legal and ethical responsibilities of an animal control officer when handling animal evacuations during a public health emergency, such as a pandemic? Answer: an animal control officer's legal and ethical responsibilities during animal evacuations in a public health emergency like a pandemic include the following. Animal welfare laws. Officers are bound by laws such as the Animal Welfare Act, which mandates the humane treatment of animals under their control. During a public health emergency, this means ensuring that animals are provided with adequate shelter, food, and medical care even when resources are strained. Public health considerations. Officers must balance animal welfare with public health concerns. For example, they may need to take precautions to prevent the spread of zoonotic diseases, following guidelines from public health authorities such as the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention (CDC). Transparency and accountability. Ethical responsibilities include maintaining transparency with the public about the conditions of the evacuation and the well-being of the animals. Collaboration with public health agencies. It is essential for animal control officers to work closely with public health officials, ensuring that any quarantine or isolation protocols are followed to minimize the risk of cross-species disease transmission. In disaster recovery, how can animal control officers assess the effectiveness of their response, and what strategies can they employ to improve future disaster planning? Answer: post-disaster recovery involves assessing both the immediate outcomes of the response and identifying areas for improvement in future emergency animal control operations. Key strategies include after-action reviews. Officers should conduct thorough reviews of their response, evaluating the efficiency of evacuation procedures, shelter conditions, interagency coordination, and animal welfare outcomes. Feedback from all involved parties, including volunteers, emergency services, and the public, is valuable. Data collection. Documenting key metrics, such as the number of animals rescued, sheltered, and rehabilitated, as well as any logistical issues encountered, helps provide a clear picture of the operation's success and areas for improvement. Resource inventory. Evaluating resource usage, e.g., food, medical supplies, personnel, allows for better planning in the future. Identifying gaps in available resources is essential for improving response capabilities. Training and drills. Implementing regular training and simulation drills helps ensure that all animal control officers are well prepared for future emergencies and can help identify potential weaknesses in current disaster response strategies. What are the core components of an animal evacuation plan, and why is it essential to include all types of animals in this plan? Answer: an effective animal evacuation plan must consider all animals, including pets, livestock, and wildlife. Core components of such a plan include identification of animals. The plan should include detailed records of all animals to be evacuated, including species, breed, medical needs, and any special requirements, e.g., for elderly or disabled animals. Evacuation routes and transport. Clear evacuation routes and transportation options should be identified, ensuring that vehicles are suitable for different types and numbers of animals. Health and safety protocols. Animal health protocols must be included, such as vaccinations, quarantine measures, and emergency veterinary services to prevent the spread of disease and ensure animal welfare. Public communication. A communication strategy for informing the public about evacuation procedures is necessary. It is essential to include all types of animals in this plan because they all may be impacted by emergencies in different ways, and neglecting to account for any animal species could lead to preventable harm or loss of life. How does interagency collaboration contribute to the effectiveness of emergency animal control operations, and what are the primary challenges of coordinating between multiple agencies? Answer. Interagency collaboration is vital for the success of emergency animal control operations. It ensures that resources, expertise, and responsibilities are shared to maximize the overall response. Benefits include resource sharing. Agencies such as local government, veterinary organizations, and NGOs can pool resources like shelter space, food, medical supplies, and personnel. Expertise and specialization. Veterinary agencies bring specialized knowledge on animal health, while local law enforcement and fire departments assist with logistics and safety. Coordinated efforts. An organized response led by an incident command system helps prevent duplication of efforts and ensures that no part of the emergency response is overlooked. However, challenges include communication barriers. Different agencies may use different systems or terminology, which can create confusion if not standardized. Jurisdictional issues. Agencies may face jurisdictional constraints, particularly when different levels of government, local, state, federal, are involved, which can slow down decision-making. What are the ethical considerations for animal control officers when deciding to euthanize an animal during an emergency, and what criteria should be used? Answer. Ethical considerations for euthanasia decisions during emergencies include animal welfare. The primary concern is whether euthanasia is in the best interest of the animal, particularly in situations where the animal is severely injured, suffering, or in a condition where recovery is unlikely. Resource limitations. If resources, e.g., space, food, veterinary care, are limited, officers must make difficult decisions based on prioritizing animals that have the best chance of survival or that pose a risk to public health. Public perception. Euthanizing animals can generate public outcry, so officers must ensure transparency in decision-making using clearly defined protocols to explain their actions. Criteria for euthanasia should include severity of injury or illness, prognosis for recovery, the availability of resources for ongoing care, the potential risk to other animals or humans, e.g., disease transmission. How can animal control officers prepare for unexpected animal influxes during a disaster, and what strategies can be employed to manage large-scale rescues? Answer. To prepare for unexpected animal influxes during a disaster, officers should develop a flexible emergency plan, a dynamic plan that can quickly scale up or down depending on the situation, ensuring resources can be allocated efficiently as needed. Pre-position resources. Identifying potential shelters, supplies, and equipment in advance allows for rapid deployment. Establish volunteer networks. Volunteer groups can help with animal rescue operations, especially in large-scale rescues. Proper training and orientation are essential. Conduct drills. Regular drills will help ensure the team can react quickly and effectively when a large-scale disaster strikes. Strategies for managing rescues include prioritizing animals based on their needs, e.g., injured animals or those in immediate danger, using technology for efficient tracking of animals, and collaborating with surrounding areas for resource sharing.